Hi, this is Brad with Baker County Trash Pickup. In today's video, I'm going over all the finances with you for our first calendar year in business. In our weekly videos, I mentioned the finances for that week, but I don't think I've gone over a comprehensive analysis of everything we've spent so far getting the business up and running. That is what this video is for. And as I'm recording this, it's December 20th, so the year isn't really over, but I mean, it's only 10 more days, so not much is going to change. And as a quick note before we get into the specifics of this video, this is a regular reminder that if you are wanting to start a home service business, or if you already have one and you've got over 100 customers and you don't already have a CRM or some type of software that you use to manage your customers, I strongly recommend one. It'll make your life so much easier. Even if you think you don't need it, the benefits of software cannot be understated. Overstated. On the trash side of things, we're at around 125 clients. So really small overall, but I don't see how you could do this without software if you wanted to grow a business that did have more than 50, 100 customers. The amount of time Jobber software saves me, which that's who I use, it gives me a lot of my life back and saves my wife and I a ton of headaches. So if you don't have any software and you want to try some, there's going to be a link in the description where you can have a free trial, and then if you do like it, you get a discount after of that Jobber software. But even if it's not Jobber, find some kind of software. If you're running your business off Excel spreadsheets and pencil and paper, you have no idea the quality of life that you are missing, especially if you're the one doing all the work because you're a smaller operation and you don't have someone handling the booking, the scheduling, the billing for you. If you're the one who's doing all that and you don't have software, that's the biggest thing you can do to improve your quality of life. But that's my little spiel about the crusade of why software is better for you. We'll get into the video now. The reason I'm making this video is, one, to entertain you folks and then also educate those of you who may want to start your own home service business or your own trash pickup business. I've had a lot of folks email me for advice. How do you get started? I thought it might be helpful to have one video that focuses on the finances of the first calendar year of starting. If this is your first time ever watching a video from the channel, I live in a rural Northeast Florida county where we have about 6,000 folks who live inside of city limits. If you are in those city limits, you have trash pickup bundled with your city water and sewer bill. You can't opt out of it. For the other 20-something thousand people who live in the county outside of those city limits, you have to deal with the trash yourself. You can either take it to one of 5 or 6 locations around the county where they have county-run dumps that you can use for free if you're a resident, or you contract with one of the 3 private companies in the county, one of which is ours, Baker County Trash Pickup. We started this business, as did another local company, in May of 2024 when Waste Management sent a letter to everyone and said, hey, we're no longer servicing you folks. So basically them pulling out presented an interesting business opportunity where there would be a large number of people who did have trash service that now needed it. And when I ran the numbers on that, I liked it a lot. I liked the potential that was there. I liked the amount of money we would be making per visit versus the amount of time we would be on someone's property. I liked the fact that trash pickup is much less physically demanding than lawn care, which is what I have been doing for the past, 6 or 7 years now. So looking at another 6 or 7 years down the road, and now I'm that much older, boy, it sure would be nice to not have to mow lawns anymore and just do trash pickup with my wife. We started by purchasing 200 branded trash cans and a dump trailer. We did that for a few months before we finally knew enough to say, yes, we do want to invest in a real garbage truck. And now we have a small 8-yard pac-mac rear load truck that has an Isuzu NRR frame. That's the real quick overview of the business. We started selling pickup in the beginning of May and started pickup the beginning of June. So we've got about, 7 or 8 total months that the business has been a viable entity, and then 6 months of actual trash pickup under our belts. So when you're listening to this, take everything with a grain of salt. I feel like I've got a fairly good head for numbers, but there's a lot about the trash pickup industry I still don't know. So let's start with income. As of today, we have placed 100 139 cans out of the 200, which means we still have about 60 sitting on the back patio, and we have 121 total clients. That means I have a recurring revenue of roughly $4,806 per month. Now keep in mind, we run promotions, so everybody who's a new customer gets a free month. If someone switches from another service provider, they get 3 free months. Those numbers do not take into account the free months. So that number is a little bit lower, but it just adds too much complexity to try and take that into account. And since we're in this for the long haul, I'm just assuming once we get past the first couple of months and their promotions are over, we're just running on this monthly amount. The business will generate annually, based on that figure, around $57,672, which isn't too shabby for one day of work a week, but we've got quite a few expenses that need to be taken into account. Our monthly fixed costs are as follows. Our trailer payment is $830.75 a month. That's for the orange dump trailer. Our truck payment is approximately $850 a month. And when we get into liabilities, I'm going to talk more about the trailer and the truck. Our truck insurance is $830.17 a month, but I need to be specific that we already paid that amount for the year. It was a $10,000 bill for 12 months of insurance. If we would have paid it monthly, it was something like an extra $2,000 over the course of a year. So we went ahead and just paid a lump sum of $10,000 to cover the whole year. So I am not paying $830 a month in insurance, but what I do need to do is set $830 a month aside in an account so that when my insurance becomes due for another year, then I've got $10,000 sitting there that I can pay it again in a lump sum. Hopefully that makes sense. The insurance isn't something I pay every month, but I do need to account for it in this monthly fixed cost area. General liability insurance is only $44 a month. That means our monthly fixed costs, if I don't get rid of the trailer, our monthly fixed costs are around $2,554 or $30,000 over the course of a year. If I can get rid of the trailer today, then those monthly costs will drop to $1,724 a month or about $20,700 over the course of a year. So comparing that against the $57,000 that we are aiming to bring in a year, assuming we don't get any more customers, we can easily cover our monthly fixed costs. But it's not that simple, and we'll talk about that more on the liability side of things. Our monthly variable costs, we found that we're burning about $40 worth of fuel for a route. That's something that's going to go up and down depending on how much traffic there is, how many more stops we add. If the Isuzu's running a regen during the route on the highway, it doesn't add much fuel consumption, but if it runs a regen when we're starting and stopping in the middle of picking up trash, that burns a considerable amount more of fuel. But on average, we're about $40 a day, roughly 10 gallons, around $3.45 a gallon. That's about $160 a month for fuel, because right now we're only running once a week. So we just take $40 of fuel on the high end times 4 weeks, that's $160 a month. And then marketing, right now I'm pretty aggressive about it. There are 4 every door direct mail routes that I like to hit. That's about 2,500 mailers that go out between the United States Postal Service cost to mail those and then the cost of the flyers themselves. Every time I run it, it's about $750 to reach those 2,500 people. Now, in terms of setup costs, things that I have already paid, if we look at kind of the high level categories, for supplies, we've spent $19,000. For advertising, we've spent $12,000. For insurance payments, we've spent $10,500. Depreciable property payments on the trailer, right around $5,000. Depreciable property payment on the garbage truck, right around $3,500. And then about $400 in legal and professional fees, $7.50 in repairs and maintenance. Now, when we break down some of those categories a little bit deeper, we see that our trash cans cost us almost $14,000. Our truck insurance, again, is right around $10,000. We've paid $5,000 in trailer payments. We've spent about $4,000 in every door direct mail flyer payments. We've spent about $3,500 in garbage truck payments. Those are interest-only payments. We've spent about $3,000 on expenses for the Isuzu. That includes things like wraps and decals and supplies that go on the Isuzu. We spent about $2,800 on the trailer. $2,000 of that was a lifter that we tested out to try and make the pickup a little bit more efficient. That was a complete waste of money. The other $800 we put wood sides on. Spent, I think, $600 or so on decals for the trailer. We've spent about $2,200 in direct mail letters. So that's getting a branded envelope, printing off a letter from the computer, folding it up, putting it in the envelope with a door hanger and a business card, putting a 75-cent stamp on it, and mailing it to somebody. We did that before the Every Door Direct Mail. We're also going to do that again for some neighborhoods that it doesn't make sense to try and reach through Every Door Direct Mail. And then we've spent about $1,000 on fuel, $750 on gifts. Everybody who was a client of ours towards the end of November, we dropped off a little tin of cookies with a magnet on it and a thank you note. That's the bulk of that portion. Print advertising is going to be things like branded thank you notes and door hangers that we use. Spent about $700 on uniforms. You know, we bought a half dozen polos and sweatshirts. We bought some PPE, that type of thing. We've spent about $500 on Google ads, which we didn't have great success with. Our general liability insurance is $500. Our phone service is about $400. And then, you know, you continue going on with $200, $300, $400 things until we get to a grand total of about $51,000 that we have spent so far on setting up the business. Now, this is actually things that have come out of the bank account. This is money that has been paid to set up this business. A large portion of that has just come from us, you know, pulling money from our personal savings to fund it. The rest has been from the business. Basically, everything we make just goes right back into paying these expenses. Once we gain a little bit more traction and stability, we're going to pay ourselves back for the money that we borrowed, and then we're going to start saving up towards some of our liabilities, which is a good transition to talk about those. So right now, we have liabilities on our trailer of around $10,000. It started off at $14,953.49. That included a $50 finance charge, and we've paid about $5,000, which means we have around $10,000 left. The debt is a personal unsecured loan to Brad Bear, myself, but the owner of the trailer is Baker County Trash Pickup, LLC. I don't think that's something you could expect to do starting out unless you have very good credit, which my wife and we both do. That trailer is something that hopefully we can get rid of this year. For the past few months, it's been down south doing disaster relief work, so I'm kind of content to just let it sit down there, and I don't mind, you know, paying the payments on it while somebody's getting good use out of it. Once that need for disaster relief has been alleviated, which who knows when that'll be, then I'll probably try and worry about selling it then. So that'll free up $800 a month once that's taken care of. I just don't know when that is. As far as our garbage truck, we borrowed $132,000 in the form of a home equity line of credit in order to get those funds. There was no other way that we could have qualified to get any type of loan to purchase that truck. Baker County Trash Pickup LLC was brand new, so nobody's going to loan that type of money. Even if we tried some creative accounting where we bundled everything under Brad Bear and the Copper Creek Cuts, you know, YouTube channel and the lawn care side of things, I simply didn't cash flow enough in order to qualify for any kind of equipment loan. So the home equity line of credit, obviously that's personal secured collateralized debt in the form of a lien against my house. The way that home equity line of credit works is it expires in about 12 years. During those 12 years, every single month, I'm required to make an interest-only payment. That's that $850 number I told you earlier. At the end of that 12 years or whenever it expires, the entire balance will be due. So if I only make those monthly interest payments, I will never pay off anything towards the balance. And at the end of the 10 or 12 years, when the HELOC becomes due and matures, then I'm going to owe the entire balance. So this HELOC is not something I'm going to float for any longer than I need to. This was just the only way I could get a garbage truck. And for now, I'm just paying interest-only payments. But when we get to the point where the business bank account finally starts to have what I would consider substantial amount of money in it at the end of every month, then I can start paying off that $130,000 balance. The interest payments will be lower every month. The principal amount will be lower every month, and eventually that garbage truck will be paid off. That's kind of the first financial goal we have for the business. I believe most of our startup costs are done now, so we won't have these large expenditures, and moving forward, hopefully it'll just be the monthly fixed costs we talked about, and then those variable costs. That'll put a lot less strain on the income that we get, which means that we should have more to put towards the principal of that garbage truck. This also is not something that keeps me up at night. I know a lot of folks would say, oh, a home equity line of credit for 130 grand, that's scary. For us, it's not really. Let's say for some reason I became a paraplegic tomorrow. For one, we'd be able to sell the trash truck. Obviously, we wouldn't be able to sell it for 130, but I'm sure we could sell it for at least half of the value. So there's a huge chunk right there. We'd be able to sell off the trash cans, a huge loss, but we'd probably get a couple grand for the 200 cans we have as well. At that point, if we needed, we have personal assets that we could liquidate that would cover whatever rest of the balance there is. Now, when it comes to credit accounts, this is something that I've been actively pursuing. You can't build credit until you get credit, and most places won't give you credit until you have credit, so it's kind of a catch-22. But we do have 3 credit accounts currently. One of those is at $21,500. Another is at $8,000, and another is $20,000. So those are 3 credit cards that I could pull on if I needed to. I am not the kind of person who, if I have credit, I spend it. I always make sure that whatever I put on a credit card, whether it's personally or business, I can pay off at the end of the month. Right now, I've got about $2,000 on one of those cards. The other 2 have 0 balance, and I think most of that $2,000, I think one of those is a big order from Vistaprint for, 6,000 or 7,000 every door direct mailers, and another 1,200 might be 2 every door direct mailers that we did from United States Postal Service. So that's probably 75% of that balance. As often as I can, I will take out new credit on the company. Again, I am not somebody who would recommend that you take out credit if you cannot manage your finances. If as soon as you get a credit card, you view it as free money and you rack up as much as you can and you never pay it off, do not get new credit. Thankfully, that's not the position I find myself in. I'm pretty disciplined when it comes to credit cards, and the only time I'll put something on them is when it makes financial sense to, if I can pay it off at the end of the month, or if there's any promotional balance deals. We are looking at another 200 trash cans soon. One of those cards, while we're in our introductory period of, the first 18 months or whatever, has a benefit where we can pay over time. So if I order another 200 cans for $14,000, instead of having to have 14 grand, I can split it up over, 9 months or something. And the business should be able to cover that with the monthly cash flow that comes in. And there won't be any other interest fees or penalties to take advantage of that program because, again, we're in that promotional introductory period of the credit card. So I really think credit cards can be a great tool, but only if you know what you're doing, only if you use them well. That's going to depend 100% on you. I don't know anything about you, so whether or not you decide to do that's completely up to you. But I will continue to, as I get offers for credit cards for the business, I will open those up and then I'll just stick them in a drawer because I want the business to be able to have access to lines of credit in the future. And the only way I can do that is by establishing them now as the opportunities arise. Then in the future, when they're older, maybe they'll get credit line increases as well. if we ever need to buy a second truck or a replacement truck. Because of all the times I've taken advantage of establishing credit, the business hopefully will be able to then stand on its own two legs, and we won't have to bring Brad Bear and my wife into the risk mix by personally securing things. Now, there's still a lot of unknowns. When it comes to maintenance, I don't have any idea how much that's going to cost. Over the next few months, as we head into the first quarter of 2025, and we've got a little bit of extra money in the account, probably before I start paying off debt, I'm going to buy some maintenance supplies, things like oil filters, hydraulic filters, the things that go along with maintaining the truck. We'll make videos on that for all the processes, but maintenance, especially tires, I don't know how long the tires we have will last. I think probably a very good amount of time considering how little we use the vehicle. You know, we only run once a week right now, and our route is about 105 miles. So very low on the usage scale. And then the other issue is payroll. We're not paying ourselves anything. So that's kind of the biggest way we are cheating numbers, is that all the labor is for free. My wife and I, from 4 a.m. to 12 p.m. on trash days, which is about how long it takes us to complete our route right now. We pull out of the driveway around 4, we show back up around 12. If we were paying ourselves minimum wage, that would be $224 for every day that my wife and I are in that truck. If we paid ourselves $20 an hour, that would be $320 a day that would be coming out of all the money we made every month. Because we're working for free, that is the biggest way this business is going to make sense. If we had to put a driver and a trash picker-upper, which is a technical term, in that truck that wasn't us, these numbers wouldn't make sense. Actually, they don't really make sense now, but I'm hoping that long term they will. So that's a video that you folks have been asking for a very long time, a comprehensive look at all the finances of the business. As always, we certainly appreciate you watching. If this video has given you more questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments below, and we'll try and answer them as soon as we can. And we'll see you in the next one.